Stephen Colbert's show has been canceled. It's great. Great news, is it not?
This is incredible on so many levels, and I'm going to call him on this for.
I love how they claimed it's a financial reason, but everything is a financial reason, right? If you open up a restaurant, you serve lousy food, people stop coming, you close it. You don't say because the food sucked. You said, well, it was a financial reason. But they didn't just they didn't cancel his show. They canceled the whole show.
Yeah.
This was a quote institution, and they said rather than put somebody in his place, they just said we're closing up. I mean, imagine being a chef. You know, you're such a bad chef that they cancel food.
When Stephen Colbert's show got axed, Megyn Kelly and Greg Gutfeld didn't just react. They exploded with sharp-tongued brilliance and zero mercy. They tore through his crumbling legacy like it was their personal comedy buffet. Gone were the fake laughs, the forced moral speeches, and the desperate skits, finally exposed for what they were: pure, empty noise. This wasn't a simple roast. It was a full-blown career dissection. Colbert didn't walk off gracefully. He was dragged off stage, one sarcastic jab at a time.
Matt Bellany, founding partner of Puck News and formerly Hollywood Reporter. The timing and optics, he says, are terrible for the Colbert cancellation. Not true, not true, not true. The timing and optics are perfect. Only leftists think that the timing and optics are terrible because they think somehow this was retaliatory because Stephen Colbert was ripping on CBS for entering into that $16 million settlement with Donald Trump, who was suing them over the 60 Minutes Kamala Harris interview and the edited clips, claiming it was a deceptive practice under Texas law.
It's amazing. I mean, I guess he's less popular than Shingles, but you get this, it's so obvious. You can't do a comedy show and a sermon at the same time. Your job is to say something funny, not being the show that says, that's not funny, about all the things that are just too grim to talk about.
Stephen Colbert's cancellation wasn't just predictable. It was practically penciled into the calendar. The only real surprise is that it took this long for network executives to finally notice the emperor wasn't just naked. He was out of punchlines and running on fumes of smugness. You could power a private jet with his self-satisfaction, but not a late-night show. For years, he played pretend as a comedian, serving up stale leftovers straight from Twitter. And now, at last, the curtain drops on America's longest-running televised eye roll.
Yeah, I share your feelings. It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away. And I do want to say that the folks at CBS have been great partners. I'm so grateful to the Tiffany Network for giving me this chair and this beautiful theater to call home. And of course, I'm grateful to you, the audience, who have joined us.
Megyn Kelly didn't just grab popcorn for this disaster. She came armed with receipts, a folding chair, and a flamethrower. Watching her dismantle Colbert's so-called legacy was like witnessing a courtroom showdown. If the witness were a failed jester and the judge already half asleep, she tore through his record like a teacher, grading a hopeless student who turned in TikTok memes as a thesis. The final result? A big red F stapled to a sad participation ribbon.
Here's Stephen Colbert grappling with that news.
Now, if, like me, you're wondering why the Department of Energy is the one making this judgment, it's because that agency oversees a network of U.S. national laboratories, some of which conduct advanced biological research. No. Bad energy department. No biolabs until you finish building your electric car charging station.
Greg Gutfeld, on the other hand, didn't show up to critique. He showed up to cremate. If Megyn Kelly was methodical and forensic, Gutfeld was pure volcanic chaos. He treated Colbert's cancellation like a demolition derby at a state fair, watching every mangled piece of credibility crumble with delight. This is a man who's seen Colbert try to out-funny a plank of wood and lose every time. Gutfeld's reaction wasn't shock. It was sweet, overdue satisfaction. The kind that builds after years of watching someone juggle arrogance and irrelevance until you're amazed they didn't sprain their ego.
No, here's a sample of what his show looked like in recent months. And this, I would submit to you, is why Stephen Colbert's show is no more.
Going
Top
on in
five.
LA reminds us that as citizens, it is crucial to speak out against Trump's fascist impulses, his rampant corruption, and his egregious violations of our norms and our laws. The last time a president bypassed a governor to send in the National Guard was 1965, when LBJ used troops to protect civil rights demonstrators in Alabama. So we've come full circle. Troops were deployed to protect protesters by Lyndon B. Johnson, and now they're being used to threaten protesters.
Colbert's comedic downfall wasn't sudden. It was a slow-motion crash, a decade in the making. Once upon a time, he was sharp, really sharp. His Comedy Central persona had bite, satire, and the occasional joke that didn't sound like it was written in a group therapy session for overly caffeinated wine moms. But the moment he hit late-night TV, he did what every mid-career sellout dreams of, traded his edge for a slogan. Somehow, his entire show turned into one long, tired sigh. If self-righteousness had a laugh track, it would have been called The Stephen Colbert Show.
Oh, hey, everybody. We got a great show for you tonight. Senator Adam Schiff was my guest. We harmonized on Seven Bridges Road. What a voice. I cried. But before we start the show, I want to let you know something that I found out just last night. Next year will be our last season. The network will be ending The Late Show.
He didn't tell jokes. He curated applause. Every monologue felt like a moral TED Talk, just with worse lighting and smug clapping from an audience that looked like they accidentally wandered in from Whole Foods. His crowd didn't laugh because he was funny. They laughed because they agreed. And let's be honest, that's not comedy. That's group therapy with commercial breaks. Megyn Kelly called this out with the precision of a surgeon and the joy of someone who never bought into the hype. She reminded everyone that Colbert wasn't canceled by some grand conspiracy or political ambush. He was canceled because he simply couldn't carry a show without clinging to every trope in the progressive comedian's starter kit. You know the one, sneering at the middle class, mocking Walmart shoppers, and gasping over every Supreme Court ruling like it personally canceled his brunch plans.
I'm not happy about the fight, but I'm just saying I'm not like sad and all these people are like forlorn over. It's like, all right, grow up. They're having a dispute. It was bound to happen. They'll get past it. As you point out, Trump is extremely forgiving, and I'm sure Elon is too. I mean, Trump's not, whatever. Laura Ingraham reported last night she's been told it's irreparable. Nothing is irreparable with Donald Trump. Nothing is irreparable. But here's how the late night losers were making fun of it.
Elon gave us a fun one. Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That's the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT.
Gutfeld didn't even need to dig deep. He just rolled the highlight reel of Colbert's greatest flops. The vaccine dance, the cringe sketches, the fake presidential addresses written by someone who thought satire meant reading headlines with jazz hands. And those interviews. Oh, the interviews. You'd get more life from a wacky balloon man outside a car dealership. Watching Colbert question celebrities was like seeing someone recite a Wikipedia article while blinking Morse code for help. And let's not forget how he turned his desk into a pulpit. Somewhere along the way, Colbert stopped being a comedian and started acting like a self-anointed oracle, the kind with a Harvard degree and a deep resentment for anyone who wears an American flag pin, unironically. His version of humor wasn't about making people laugh. It was about making them nod solemnly while fake chuckling through gritted teeth. Every punchline felt like an essay title awkwardly ending in forced applause from people convinced that laughing counts as activism.
It's the dust. You know, we beat all these guys at my show, and we're only in 61 million homes. CBS reaches nearly 300 million Americans. They don't talk about that. He also had 200 staffers. I employ nothing but teenage runaways. And by the way, I don't even pay them.
Megyn Kelly sliced through this mess with surgical sarcasm. She exposed how Colbert morphed into a walking personality vacuum, an echo chamber pretending to be entertainment. She didn't just laugh at his downfall. She examined it like a case study in what happens when someone mistakes ideological agreement for genuine talent. And when that agreement fades, so does the applause. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld turned Colbert's career into a tragicomedy. a man who once mocked the system but ended up becoming its living screensaver. He became the comedic equivalent of airport CNN. Background noise no one asked for, but tolerated while waiting for something better. Gutfeld compared Colbert's show to a fire extinguisher trying to tell a joke. It might make noise, but it's not putting out any flames. You could practically hear the studio execs panic each time his ratings sank below sea level. They threw him every lifeline. Bigger budgets, flashier guests, a dancing syringe for crying out loud. Yet the audience still slipped away like fans fleeing a concert headlined by a guy reading bumper stickers off a Prius. They tried everything except asking the obvious question, is this even funny anymore? Because for years, the answer has been a resounding no.
Would you look at this?
There are quite a few billionaires who support you. You are from Northern California, after all, where they grow them in fields out there. Who's your favorite billionaire? Because we all have a favorite billionaire. On three. 1, 2, 3. Oprah. I'm sorry. I claimed Oprah. You can't take her now.
What's happened to him is what happens to virtually every news personality and late night personality and host of popular shows, podcasts, etc., which is they start getting invited to parties with
Megyn didn't just poke fun. She blew gaping holes through the entire late-night formula. The fake laughter, the scripted interviews, the virtue signaling disguised as authentic moments. She exposed it all. She said what everyone already knew, but few dared to admit. Colbert wasn't entertaining, he was predictable. And in comedy, predictability is the kiss of death. He became a magician with only one trick, and by year 6, even the rabbit had hired a therapist. Gutfeld couldn't stop laughing as Colbert's slow public collapse played out, like a soufflé deflating live on national TV. The ratings tanked, the viewers bailed, and advertisers side-eyed the time slot like it owed them rent. Yet through it all, Colbert kept smiling, shrugging, and doubling down on the same stale routine that doomed him in the first place. His humor grew stiff, smug, and about as funny as a TED Talk on tax reform.
Costs more than $100 million a year to produce and is losing more than $40 million a year. That's unbelievable. So net, it takes in about 60. It's losing $40 million a year. He writes CBS execs had been mulling for a long time whether to pull the plug.
This is amazing for so many reasons, but culturally it's so indicative of it's another nail.
Megyn Kelly tore into this fiasco with the fire of someone who'd been waiting years for the mask to finally slip. She reminded everyone that comedy is a meritocracy. If you're not funny, no amount of applause can save you. Colbert wasn't canceled for being bold or controversial. He was canceled for being boring. And no show can survive being both preachy and dull. Gutfeld, ever the sniper, didn't just roast Colbert. He torched the entire culture that kept him afloat. The celebrity cameos, the political rants, the carefully choreographed outrage. He called it what it was: performance art for the elite. And when the audience finally stopped pretending to laugh, the illusion shattered completely. What remained was just a man, a desk, and a haunting silence. Together, Megyn and Greg made it clear. Colbert didn't lose his audience. He drove them away. He treated comedy like a classroom chore, and his viewers like students trapped in detention. Each episode felt like a lecture. Every joke a sigh, every sketch a wine-fueled therapy session for people still mourning 2016. Even his staff looked drained. Their laughter thin and tired, like people clapping for rent money, pretending the emperor's new suit was made of Gucci.
He's a terrible man. I really think he's just not a good guy. I mean, he completely took that show, which was a great sort of platform in nighttime television, and the Ed Sullivan Theater, and completely drove it into the ground. He had originally been at Comedy Central, where he was more comedy. And when he moved over to CBS, he decided to be more pundit. He desperately wanted to be Keith Olbermann. And guess what? Keith Olbermann is a failure. And now so are you, Stephen Colbert.
Megyn and Greg agreed on one brutal truth. You can't build a legacy on vibes alone. Eventually, someone checks the receipts, and Colbert's were nothing but canceled checks and dusty cue cards. Megyn's sarcasm was surgical as she recapped his desperate last-ditch attempts at staying relevant. He tried dancing syringes, awkward musical numbers about inflation, even forced himself into political debates like a man photobombing history. But nothing landed. Because when your jokes need a dissertation to make sense, you're not doing comedy, you're assigning detention. Greg sealed the moment with his signature sting, comparing Colbert's show to a vegan burger, overprocessed, oddly colored, and only enjoyable to people pretending to like it. This cancellation wasn't just business, it was poetic justice, delivered one stiff monologue at a time. Megyn and Greg didn't need to be cruel, just honest. Colbert's collapse became a masterclass in what happens when applause is mistaken for relevance. In the end, the only people still clapping were the ones paid to sit there, or too polite to leave.
All right. Last Monday, Stephen Colbert tore into Donald Trump like a giant orange burrito. Now, before I roll the tape, I must warn you that it's very lewd, so turn it up so everyone can hear it.
You attract more skinheads than free Rogaine. You have more people marching against you than cancer. You talk like a sign language gorilla who got hit in the head. In fact, the only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster.
Now, of course, we had to bleep it, but you get the joke. He said Trump was having sex with Putin. Was it offensive? I don't know. I've done worse.
And just like that, the grand legacy of Stephen Colbert's late-night reign has been reduced to a punchline in someone else's monologue. One that, ironically, might actually get a real laugh. The best part? This roast is far from over. Now he's just another cautionary tale, framed in the crumbling museum of late-night flops. Right between Jimmy Fallon tries too hard and James Corden sings in traffic again. You'd expect Colbert to go out swinging, maybe reinvent himself, but instead, he faded out like a beige screensaver. The man didn't just run out of jokes, he ran out of relevance. Megyn Kelly made sure the world knew it. Every speech he gave felt less like humor and more like a hostage situation. Gutfeld didn't miss the irony either. He reminded everyone how Colbert spent years mocking others for losing touch, all while building an empire on being completely out of touch himself. Here was a man who claimed to speak truth, but wouldn't recognize it if it tap-danced on his desk. Watching Gutfeld shred Colbert's moral superiority complex was like watching someone scrape layers of smug off a chalkboard with a chainsaw. Brutal, brilliant, and long overdue. There's something poetic about a man who mocked cancel culture being quietly canceled by irrelevance. No outrage, no drama. Just silence. And let's be honest, what's worse than being canceled? Being forgotten. Stephen Colbert's legacy won't burn out in flames. It'll just gather dust next to that dancing syringe costume, waiting for someone to remember why it ever mattered.